Hello, English learners. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we're going to gently and confidently level up your English from intermediate B1 all the way toward advanced C2 by learning how to think, speak, and express yourself using more natural, more precise, and more powerful English in everyday life, so you can sound calmer, clearer, and more confident when you speak. Before we begin, I just want to let you know that we upload daily English learning videos here on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and join us every day. As you continue improving your English step by step, with support and clarity. Now take a moment to relax your shoulders, take a comfortable breath, and settle into this lesson, as if we're sitting together, having a quiet conversation. When you move from B1 to higher levels like B2, C1, and eventually C2, the biggest change is not speed or accent. The biggest change is depth. At intermediate level, you can communicate, but at advanced levels, you express ideas with intention, nuance, and emotional accuracy. Today, we're going to work on that together in a very practical way, using daily life language that feels real and useful. Let's start with something simple but powerful. At B1 level, many learners say things like, "I think it is good," or "I think it is bad." This works. But advanced English gives you more control. Listen carefully and repeat after me in your own time. From my perspective, this is a positive step forward. Again, listen and repeat. From my perspective, this is a positive step forward. Notice how this sentence sounds calmer, more thoughtful, and more confident. Now try this one. I have mixed feelings about it, but overall, I see the value. Repeat that slowly. I have mixed feelings about it, but overall, I see the value. These kinds of sentences help you express balance instead of extremes, which is a key feature of advanced English. Now imagine you're talking about your day. At an intermediate level, you might say, "My day was busy." That's fine, but let's elevate it. Listen carefully. It was a demanding day, but I managed it well. Repeat that sentence naturally. It was a demanding day, but I managed it well. Feel how this sentence shows both challenge and control. Now try this one. The day felt long, yet productive. Repeat again. The day felt long, yet productive. These small shifts make your English sound more mature and more intentional. As we continue, I want you to focus not only on the words, but on the rhythm and calm confidence behind them. Advanced English is not about sounding complicated, it's about sounding clear and composed. For example, instead of saying, "I don't understand," try this. "I'm not entirely clear on that yet." Repeat it slowly. "I'm not entirely clear on that yet." Or listen to this one. "Could you clarify that point for me?" Repeat. "Could you clarify that point for me?" These phrases are extremely common in professional and social situations, and they immediately raise your level. Let's move into expressing feelings, something we do every day. At B1, you might say, "I'm happy," or "I'm sad." Now listen to these upgraded versions. "I feel genuinely content with how things are going." Repeat that. "I feel genuinely content with how things are going." Now listen to this. "I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed lately." Repeat. "I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed lately." These sentences sound natural, adult, and emotionally accurate, which is exactly what advanced speakers aim for. Now let's practice describing situations. Imagine something didn't go as planned. At B1, you might say, "It was a problem." Instead, listen to this. "Things didn't go as expected, but I adapted." Repeat slowly. "Things didn't go as expected, but I adapted." Or try this one. "There were a few challenges along the way." Repeat. "There were a few challenges along the way." These expressions soften your message while still being honest, which is a very advanced communication skill. As you listen, remember that repetition is not about memorizing. It's about training your brain to recognize patterns. Let's continue with decision-making language. Instead of, "I decided," try this. "After giving it some thought, I decided to move forward." Repeat. "After giving it some thought, I decided to move forward." Now another one. "I weighed my options carefully." Repeat again. "I weighed my options carefully." These phrases help you sound reflective and thoughtful, especially in conversations about life, work, or personal choices. At this point, if you're enjoying this lesson, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily English practice, so we can keep learning together consistently and comfortably. Let's continue by practicing agreement and disagreement in a calm, advanced way. Instead of saying, "I agree," listen to this. "I completely see your point." Repeat, "I completely see your point." Or try this one. "That makes a lot of sense to me." Repeat again. "That makes a lot of sense to me." Now for polite disagreement. "I understand your view, but I see it a bit differently." Repeat slowly. "I understand your view, but I see it a bit differently." This is a very important sentence for real-life conversations. Now imagine you're talking about plans or the future. At B1, you might say, "I want to do something new." Let's upgrade that. "I'm considering making a change." Repeat. "I'm considering making a change." Or listen to this one. "I'm open to new possibilities." Repeat again. "I'm open to new possibilities." These expressions sound flexible, thoughtful, and confident, without being dramatic. Before we move forward, take a moment to notice something important. You are not learning rare or fancy words. You are learning how advanced speakers naturally connect ideas, emotions, and experiences. This is what moves you closer to C1 and C2. Let's practice one more short sequence together. Listen carefully. "It wasn't easy, but it was worth the effort." Repeat. "It wasn't easy, but it was worth the effort." Now another. "I learned a lot from the experience." Repeat again. "I learned a lot from the experience." These sentences are simple, but they are powerful and very commonly used by fluent speakers. We'll continue building on this foundation, adding more depth, clarity, and natural flow as we move forward. So stay relaxed, stay focused, and trust the process as your English continues to grow naturally with each sentence you hear. And repeat. As we continue, I want you to remember that moving from intermediate to advanced English is very similar to moving from basic walking to confident, relaxed movement. You already know how to walk. Now you're learning how to move with balance and purpose. One of the biggest differences at higher levels is how you connect ideas. At B1 level, sentences are often short and separate. Advanced English smoothly links thoughts together. Listen carefully to this sentence and let it flow naturally. I was tired, but instead of stopping, I decided to keep going. Repeat it calmly. I was tired, but instead of stopping, I decided to keep going. Notice how the sentence shows contrast, decision, and action, all at once. Let's practice expressing reasons in a more advanced way. Instead of saying, because, advanced speakers often vary their language. Listen to this. I chose to stay in because I needed some time to recharge. Repeat. I chose to stay in because I needed some time to recharge. Now listen to another version. Since I hadn't slept well, I decided to take things slowly. Repeat again. Since I hadn't slept well, I decided to take things slowly. These structures help your English sound more flexible and more natural. Now let's focus on describing habits and routines, something we talk about every day. At an intermediate level, you might say, I usually wake up early. That's fine. But listen to this advanced version. I tend to wake up early and ease into the day. Repeat that sentence gently. I tend to wake up early and ease into the day. Now try this one. I've developed a routine that works well for me. Repeat again. I've developed a routine that works well for me. These sentences show reflection and self-awareness, which are common in advanced level speech. Let's move into talking about changes. This is an area where advanced English really shines. Instead of saying, things changed, listen to this. Things gradually began to shift. Repeat slowly. Things gradually began to shift. Or try this one. Over time, my priorities changed. Repeat. Over time, my priorities changed. These phrases are very common in storytelling, conversations, and even interviews. Now, I want to help you express uncertainty in a confident way. Advanced speakers are not afraid to say they're unsure, but they do it with clarity. Instead of saying, I don't know. Listen to this. I'm not completely sure yet. Repeat. I'm not completely sure yet. Or this one. I'm still figuring it out. Repeat again. I'm still figuring it out. These sentences sound calm, honest, and emotionally mature. Let's practice giving opinions with more depth. At B1, you might say, I like it, or I don't like it. Now listen to these upgrades. I'm quite fond of it. Repeat. I'm quite fond of it. Now listen to this one. It's not really my preference. Repeat again. It's not really my preference. These expressions allow you to communicate your feelings without sounding extreme or emotional. Now imagine you're talking about work or studies. At intermediate level, you might say, it's difficult. Let's elevate that. It can be challenging at times. Repeat. It can be challenging at times. Or listen to this. It requires a lot of focus. Repeat again. It requires a lot of focus. These phrases are extremely common in professional English and help you sound more capable and composed. Let's slow down and practice a short listening and repeating sequence. Listen carefully and repeat each sentence naturally. I've been putting a lot of effort into improving. Again. I've been putting a lot of effort into improving. Now listen, I'm starting to notice real progress. Repeat, I'm starting to notice real progress. These sentences are perfect for talking about learning, growth, and personal development. Now let's work on expressing reactions. Instead of saying, It surprised me. Listen to this. I didn't see that coming. Repeat. I didn't see that coming. Or try this one. That caught me off guard. Repeat again. That caught me off guard. These expressions are natural, conversational, and very common among fluent speakers. As you listen and repeat, you may notice that advanced English often uses softer, more indirect language. This is especially important in social situations. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," listen to this. "I'm not sure I see it that way." Repeat. "I'm not sure I see it that way." Or try this. "We might be looking at this from different angles." Repeat again. "We might be looking at this from different angles." These phrases help you communicate disagreement without tension. Now let's practice talking about time and experience. At B1 level, learners often say, "For a long time." Advanced English offers more variety. Listen to this. "Over the past few years, I've learned a lot." Repeat. "Over the past few years, I've learned a lot." Now listen to this one. "Recently, I've been focusing more on balance." Repeat again. "Recently, I've been focusing more on balance." These phrases make your English sound current and reflective. Take a moment to notice how your understanding is deepening. You are not just learning words, you are learning how English flows in real life. Let's continue with expressing effort and results. Instead of saying, "I tried," listen to this. "I gave it my best effort." Repeat. "I gave it my best effort." Or this one. "I pushed myself a little further." Repeat again. "I pushed myself a little further." These expressions show determination without sounding dramatic. Now let's connect thoughts smoothly. Listen carefully. "I was hesitant at first, but eventually, I felt more confident." Repeat slowly. "I was hesitant at first, but eventually, I felt more confident." This kind of sentence is very powerful because it shows emotional movement, which is a key feature of advanced communication. We'll keep building from here, adding more layers of natural expression, clearer structure, and stronger confidence as your English continues to move beyond intermediate and closer to advanced fluency, one calm, well-formed sentence at a time. As your English continues to grow, one important shift happens quietly in your mind. You stop focusing on individual words and begin to focus on meaning, intention, and tone. This is where advanced English really begins to feel natural. Let's practice expressing thoughts in a more layered way. At an intermediate level, you might say, "I was nervous." Now listen carefully to this sentence. "I felt slightly uneasy at first, but I tried to stay calm." Repeat it gently. "I felt slightly uneasy at first, but I tried to stay calm." This sentence shows emotion, control, and self-awareness, all at once. Let's continue by practicing how advanced speakers talk about everyday situations. Imagine you're running late. Instead of saying, "I'm late," listen to this. "I'm running a bit behind schedule." Repeat. "I'm running a bit behind schedule." Now try this one. "I lost track of time." Repeat again. "I lost track of time." These phrases are extremely natural and commonly used in daily conversations. Now let's focus on expressing effort and patience, which are very important themes in both life and language learning. At B1 level, you might say, "I'm trying." Let's upgrade that. I'm doing my best to stay consistent. Repeat. I'm doing my best to stay consistent. Or listen to this. I'm taking it one step at a time. Repeat again. I'm taking it one step at a time. These expressions sound calm, realistic, and emotionally intelligent. As you listen, notice how advanced English often avoids extremes. Instead of always or never, fluent speakers choose softer language. For example, instead of saying, I always feel tired, listen to this. I tend to feel tired by the end of the day. Repeat. I tend to feel tired by the end of the day. Or try this one. Lately, I've been feeling more tired than usual. Repeat again. Lately, I've been feeling more tired than usual. These sentences feel honest without sounding dramatic. Let's move into describing thoughts and reflections. At an intermediate level, you might say, I thought about it. Now listen to this. I took some time to reflect on it. Repeat. I took some time to reflect on it. Or try this one. It gave me a lot to think about. Repeat again. It gave me a lot to think about. These expressions are very common in advanced conversation and writing. Now imagine you're explaining progress. Instead of saying, I'm better now, listen carefully. I've made noticeable progress. Repeat. I've made noticeable progress. Or listen to this. I'm improving gradually. Repeat again. I'm improving gradually. These sentences sound realistic and confident without exaggeration. Let's practice expressing reactions in social situations. At B1 level, learners often say, That's interesting. Now listen to these advanced alternatives. That's an interesting point. Repeat. That's an interesting point. Or this one. I hadn't thought of it that way before. Repeat again. I hadn't thought of it that way before. These phrases show engagement and curiosity, which are key traits of fluent speakers. Now let's work on expressing comfort and discomfort. Instead of saying, I'm not comfortable. Listen to this. I don't feel entirely comfortable with that. Repeat slowly. I don't feel entirely comfortable with that. Or try this. I'd rather take a different approach. Repeat again. I'd rather take a different approach. These sentences help you set boundaries, politely and confidently. As we continue, let's practice talking about expectations. At intermediate level, you might say, I thought it would be easy. Let's upgrade that. I expected it to be easier than it was. Repeat. I expected it to be easier than it was. Or try this one. It turned out to be more challenging than I anticipated. Repeat again. It turned out to be more challenging than I anticipated. These expressions are extremely common in advanced English. Now let's focus on describing improvement over time. Listen carefully. Little by little, things started to improve. Repeat. Little by little, things started to improve. Or this one. With time and practice, I became more confident. Repeat again. With time and practice, I became more confident. These sentences are perfect for talking about learning, habits, and personal growth. Let's pause briefly and bring your attention to how your English feels right now. You are hearing complete, natural sentences, and your brain is learning how they fit together. That's exactly how advanced fluency develops. Let's continue with expressing intention. Instead of saying, I want to, listen to this. I'm aiming to improve my communication skills. Repeat, I'm aiming to improve my communication skills. Or try this one. My goal is to become more fluent. Repeat again. My goal is to become more fluent. These phrases sound clear, purposeful, and confident. Now imagine you're talking about mistakes. At B1 level, you might say, I made a mistake. Listen to this advanced version. I learned from my mistakes. Repeat. I learned from my mistakes. Or listen to this. It was a valuable learning experience. Repeat again. It was a valuable learning experience. These expressions help you reframe mistakes positively, which is very common in advanced English. Let's continue with expressing readiness. Instead of saying, I'm ready, listen to this. I feel prepared to move forward. Repeat, I feel prepared to move forward. Or this one, I'm ready to take the next step. Repeat again, I'm ready to take the next step. These phrases sound strong without sounding aggressive. As we move on, keep listening carefully, repeating naturally, and allowing these sentence patterns to settle into your mind. You are building a strong foundation for advanced English that will continue to grow with every calm, intentional sentence you practice and use in real life. As your confidence grows, you may notice that advanced English often focuses on how ideas are framed rather than what is being said directly. This allows you to sound thoughtful, measured, and clear, especially in daily conversations. Let's practice expressing balance. At an intermediate level, you might say, it's good, but it's hard. Now listen carefully. It has its advantages, though it can be demanding at times. Repeat that sentence slowly. It has its advantages, though it can be demanding at times. This structure helps you sound realistic and mature, which is a key feature of advanced English. Let's continue by practicing how to talk about preferences in a more subtle way. Instead of saying, I like quiet places, listen to this. I tend to prefer quieter environments. Repeat. I tend to prefer quieter environments. Now listen to this one. I'm more comfortable in calm settings. Repeat again. I'm more comfortable in calm settings. These expressions are gentle, natural, and very common among fluent speakers. Now imagine you're explaining a situation to someone. At B1 level, you might say, it happened fast. Let's elevate that. Everything happened rather quickly. Repeat. Everything happened rather quickly. Or try this one. Things moved faster than I expected. Repeat again. Things moved faster than I expected. These phrases help you describe events smoothly, without sounding rushed. Let's move into expressing cause and effect, something advanced speakers do very naturally. Instead of saying, I was tired, so I stopped. Listen to this. I was feeling exhausted, which is why I decided to stop. Repeat slowly. I was feeling exhausted, which is why I decided to stop. Or try this one. As a result, I had to slow down. Repeat again. As a result, I had to slow down. These structures help you connect ideas clearly and logically. Now let's practice talking about comfort zones and growth. At intermediate level, you might say, it was new for me. Listen carefully. It pushed me slightly. Out of my comfort zone. Repeat. It pushed me slightly. Out of my comfort zone. Or this one. It was unfamiliar at first, but I adjusted. Repeat again. It was unfamiliar at first, but I adjusted. These expressions are excellent for conversations about learning, work, and life experiences. Let's focus now on expressing calm confidence. Instead of saying, I can do it, listen to this. I feel capable of handling it. Repeat. I feel capable of handling it. Or try this one. I'm confident, I can manage it. Repeat again. I'm confident, I can manage it. These sentences sound strong, but not aggressive, which is ideal for advanced communication. Now imagine you're responding to a suggestion. At B1 level, you might say, maybe. Let's upgrade that. That could be a good option. Repeat. That could be a good option. Or listen to this. I'll definitely consider it. Repeat again. I'll definitely consider it. These phrases help you sound open-minded and polite in discussions. Let's practice expressing limits and boundaries in a respectful way. Instead of saying, I can't. Listen to this. I might not be able to commit to that right now. Repeat slowly. I might not be able to commit to that right now. Or try this one. That might be a bit difficult for me at the moment. Repeat again. That might be a bit difficult for me at the moment. These expressions are extremely useful in real-life situations. Now let's talk about describing progress and effort together. At intermediate level, learners often say, I'm getting better. Listen to this advanced version. I'm gradually gaining more confidence. Repeat. I'm gradually gaining more confidence. Or try this one. I can feel myself improving. Repeat again. I can feel myself improving. These sentences sound personal and natural. Let's move into expressing appreciation. Instead of saying, thank you, it helped. Listen to this. I really appreciate your support. Repeat. I really appreciate your support. Or listen to this one. That was very helpful. Repeat again. That was very helpful. These expressions are polite, professional, and widely used. Now let's practice describing thoughts in motion. Instead of saying, I thought about it again. Listen to this. I kept thinking about it. Repeat. I kept thinking about it. Or try this one. It stayed on my mind. Repeat again. It stayed on my mind. These phrases sound natural and emotionally expressive. Let's continue by practicing how to talk about results without exaggeration. Instead of saying, it was perfect, listen to this. It turned out quite well. Repeat. It turned out quite well. Or try this one. I was pleased with the outcome. Repeat again. I was pleased with the outcome. These expressions are calm, confident, and realistic. Now imagine you're explaining why something matters to you. At B1 level, you might say, it's important to me. Listen to this. It matters a great deal to me. Repeat. It matters a great deal to me. Or listen to this one. I place a lot of value on it. Repeat again. I place a lot of value on it. These phrases help you sound thoughtful and sincere. As you continue listening and repeating, allow these sentence patterns to settle into your natural speech rhythm. Advanced English is built through exposure, calm repetition, and meaningful use. Each sentence you hear And practice strengthens your ability to express yourself clearly and confidently in real-life situations. As your English becomes more advanced, you begin to notice how fluent speakers handle complex ideas without making them sound complicated. They do this by softening their language, adding clarity, and guiding the listener through their thoughts. Let's practice that together. At an intermediate level, you might say, "I changed my mind. Now listen carefully. I reconsidered my decision." Repeat that calmly. "I reconsidered my decision." Or try this one. "I realized there was a better approach." Repeat again. "I realized there was a better approach." These sentences sound thoughtful and reflective, which is very common at higher levels. Let's move into describing emotions with more precision. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," listen to this. "I felt slightly on edge." Repeat, "I felt slightly on edge." Or listen to this one. "I was a bit anxious at first." Repeat again. "I was a bit anxious at first." These expressions are subtle and natural, helping you communicate feelings accurately without exaggeration. Now imagine you're talking about motivation. At B1 level, you might say, "I wanted to improve." Let's upgrade that. "I was motivated to improve." Repeat, "I was motivated to improve." Or try this one. "I felt encouraged to keep going." Repeat again. "I felt encouraged to keep going." These phrases are very useful when talking about learning, work, or personal goals. Let's practice expressing contrast in a smooth, advanced way. Instead of saying, "It was hard, but I liked it." Listen carefully. "Although it was challenging, I actually enjoyed it." Repeat slowly. "Although it was challenging, I actually enjoyed it." Now try this one. "Despite the difficulties, it was a rewarding experience." Repeat again. "Despite the difficulties, it was a rewarding experience." These sentence structures are extremely common in advanced spoken and written English. Now let's focus on expressing expectations and outcomes together. At an intermediate level, you might say, "I didn't expect that." Listen to this advanced version. "That wasn't what I expected." Repeat, "That wasn't what I expected." Or try this one. "It turned out differently than I had imagined." Repeat again. "It turned out differently than I had imagined." These expressions help you talk about surprises calmly and clearly. Let's move into describing focus and attention. Instead of saying, "I was focused," listen to this. "I stayed fully focused on the task." Repeat, "I stayed fully focused on the task." Or try this one. "I gave it my full attention." Repeat again. "I gave it my full attention." These phrases sound professional and confident, especially in work or study contexts. Now imagine you're describing a learning process. At B1 level, you might say, "I practiced a lot." Let's elevate that. "I practiced consistently." Repeat, "I practiced consistently." Or try this one. "I dedicated time to regular practice." Repeat again. "I dedicated time to regular practice." These expressions highlight discipline and commitment, which are often associated with advanced fluency. Let's practice talking about communication itself. Instead of saying, "I explained it," listen to this. "I explained it as clearly as I could." Repeat, "I explained it as clearly as I could." Or listen to this one. I tried to make my point clear. Repeat again. I tried to make my point clear. These phrases are extremely common in real conversations and help you sound considerate and articulate. Now let's work on expressing patience. At intermediate level, learners often say, I waited. Listen carefully. I was willing to be patient. Repeat. I was willing to be patient. Or try this one. I gave it some time. Repeat again. I gave it some time. These expressions show emotional control and maturity. Let's practice expressing satisfaction. Instead of saying, I'm happy with it, listen to this. I'm satisfied with the result. Repeat. I'm satisfied with the result. Or try this one. I feel good about how it turned out. Repeat again. I feel good about how it turned out. These phrases sound calm and confident rather than overly emotional. Now imagine you're talking about responsibility. At B1 level, you might say, it was my job. Let's upgrade that. I took responsibility for it. Repeat. I took responsibility for it. Or listen to this one. I made sure everything was handled properly. Repeat again. I made sure everything was handled properly. These expressions are very useful in professional and personal contexts. Let's move into expressing reflection and learning. Instead of saying, I learned something, listen to this. I gained a lot from the experience. Repeat. I gained a lot from the experience. Or try this one. It taught me an important lesson. Repeat again. It taught me an important lesson. These sentences are natural, reflective, and very common in advanced English. Now let's practice expressing calm optimism. At intermediate level, learners might say, I hope it will be better. Listen to this. I'm optimistic about what's ahead. Repeat. I'm optimistic about what's ahead. Or try this one. I'm hopeful things will improve. Repeat again. I'm hopeful things will improve. These phrases sound positive without sounding unrealistic. As you continue listening and repeating, allow your English to settle into this more advanced rhythm. You are learning how to express thoughts, emotions, and experiences with balance and clarity. This is exactly how fluent speakers communicate in daily life, and you are steadily moving closer to that level with every sentence you practice. As your listening becomes more attuned to advanced English, you may notice how fluent speakers naturally soften statements to sound more thoughtful and respectful. This is especially important in daily conversations. Let's practice that together. At an intermediate level, you might say, I think you're wrong. Now listen carefully. I'm not entirely convinced. Repeat that calmly. I'm not entirely convinced. Or try this one. I see your point, but I have a slightly different view. Repeat again. I see your point, but I have a slightly different view. These expressions help you communicate disagreement without creating tension. Now let's practice talking about pressure and responsibility in a balanced way. Instead of saying, it was stressful. Listen to this. There was a lot of pressure at the time. Repeat. There was a lot of pressure at the time. Or try this one. It was a demanding situation. Repeat again. It was a demanding situation. These phrases sound composed and professional, which is typical of advanced English. Let's move into describing progress. When it's not perfect, At B1 level, you might say, I'm still learning. Let's upgrade that. I'm still in the process of improving. Repeat, I'm still in the process of improving. Or listen to this, I still have room to grow. Repeat again, I still have room to grow. These expressions show confidence and humility at the same time. Now imagine you're explaining how you handle challenges. Instead of saying, I didn't give up. Listen to this, I stayed committed. Repeat, I stayed committed. Or try this one, I kept pushing forward. Repeat again, I kept pushing forward. These sentences sound strong but controlled, which is ideal for advanced communication. Let's practice describing decisions more clearly. At an intermediate level, you might say, I chose it. Now listen to this. I made a conscious decision. Repeat, I made a conscious decision. Or listen to this one. I decided it was the right choice for me. Repeat again. I decided it was the right choice for me. These expressions add intention and clarity to your speech. Now let's focus on expressing awareness instead of saying, I know. Listen to this. I'm fully aware of that. Repeat, I'm fully aware of that. Or try this one. I understand the situation. Repeat again. I understand the situation. These phrases sound calm and grounded, which is very common in advanced English. Let's continue by practicing how to talk about communication challenges. At B1 level, learners might say, it was hard to explain. Listen carefully. It wasn't easy to put into words. Repeat. It wasn't easy to put into words. Or try this one. I struggled to express myself clearly. Repeat again. I struggled to express myself clearly. These sentences are natural and honest, and they appear frequently in real conversations. Now imagine you're describing effort over time. Instead of saying, I worked a lot. Listen to this. I put in a lot of effort over time. Repeat, I put in a lot of effort over time. Or listen to this one. I stayed consistent. Repeat again. I stayed consistent. These phrases are simple, but very effective. At advanced levels, let's move into expressing understanding and empathy. At intermediate level, you might say, I understand how you feel. Listen to this. I can understand where you're coming from. Repeat. I can understand where you're coming from. Or try this one. That must have been difficult. Repeat again. That must have been difficult. These expressions are extremely important in real-life communication and help you sound emotionally aware. Now let's practice talking about improvement in communication. Instead of saying, I speak better now, listen to this. I feel more comfortable expressing myself. Repeat. I feel more comfortable expressing myself. Or try this one. I can communicate more clearly than before. Repeat again. I can communicate more clearly than before. These sentences show growth without exaggeration. Let's continue by practicing how to talk about time management. At B1 level, learners often say, I didn't have time. Listen carefully. I was short on time. Repeat. I was short on time. Or try this one. I had to manage my time carefully. Repeat again. I had to manage my time carefully. These expressions are very common in daily and professional English. Now imagine you're expressing calm determination. Instead of saying, I will try. Listen to this. I'm committed to making progress. Repeat, I'm committed to making progress. Or try this one. I intend to keep improving. Repeat again. I intend to keep improving. These phrases sound focused and confident without pressure. As you continue listening and repeating, remember that advanced English is not about perfection. It's about clarity, balance, and intention. Each sentence you hear is training your brain to communicate in a more natural, confident, and thoughtful way, preparing you to express yourself comfortably in real-life conversations. As your English continues to mature, another important shift begins to happen. You start choosing words, not just to communicate information, but to guide how the listener feels. This is a clear sign of advanced level English. Let's practice that awareness together. At an intermediate level, you might say, I was disappointed. Now listen carefully. I felt a bit let down. Repeat naturally. I felt a bit let down. Or try this one. It wasn't quite what I had hoped for. Repeat again. It wasn't quite what I had hoped for. These expressions soften emotion, while still being honest, which is very common, in advanced conversation. Now let's work on expressing calm reassurance. Instead of saying, it's fine. Listen to this. There's no need to worry about it. Repeat. There's no need to worry about it. Or listen to this one. It'll work itself out. Repeat again. It'll work itself out. These phrases are widely used in daily English and help you sound relaxed and confident. Let's move into describing mental states. More precisely, at B1 level, learners often say, I was confused. Now listen to this. I wasn't quite sure what to think at first. Repeat. I wasn't quite sure what to think at first. Or try this one. It took me a moment to process it. Repeat again. It took me a moment to process it. These expressions reflect thoughtful thinking, rather than uncertainty. Now imagine you're explaining why you acted a certain way. Instead of saying, I had no choice, listen carefully. Given the situation, it felt like the right thing to do. Repeat. Given the situation, it felt like the right thing to do. Or try this one. Under the circumstances, that seemed reasonable. Repeat again. Under the circumstances, that seemed unreasonable. These phrases help you justify decisions calmly and clearly. Let's practice expressing gradual change, something advanced speakers do very naturally. Instead of saying, I changed, listen to this. My perspective slowly shifted. Repeat. My perspective slowly shifted. Or try this one. Over time, I started to see things differently. Repeat again. Over time, I started to see things differently. These sentences are extremely common in storytelling and reflection. Now let's work on expressing emotional balance. Instead of saying, I was happy and sad, listen to this. It was a mix of emotions. Repeat. It was a mix of emotions. Or try this one. I had mixed feelings about it. Repeat again. I had mixed feelings about it. These expressions allow you to speak honestly without oversimplifying your feelings. Let's continue with describing reactions in conversations. Instead of saying, I didn't like it, listen to this. It didn't really sit well with me. Repeat. It didn't really sit well with me. Or try this one. I wasn't completely comfortable with it. Repeat again. I wasn't completely comfortable with it. These sentences help you express discomfort, politely and clearly. Now imagine you're talking about motivation over time. Instead of saying, I lost motivation. Listen carefully. My motivation started to fade. Repeat. My motivation started to fade. Or try this one. I felt less driven than before. Repeat again. I felt less driven than before. These phrases are subtle and emotionally accurate. Let's practice expressing renewed energy. Instead of saying, I felt better, listen to this. I started to feel more energized. Repeat. I started to feel more energized. Or listen to this one. I regained my motivation. Repeat again. I regained my motivation. These expressions sound confident and purposeful. Now let's move into describing communication intentions. Instead of saying, I wanted to say something, listen to this. I felt the need to speak up. Repeat. I felt the need to speak up. Or try this one. I wanted to be clear about how I felt. Repeat again. I wanted to be clear about how I felt. These phrases are extremely useful in both personal and professional situations. Let's slow down and practice expressing reflection in a calm way. Instead of saying, I thought about my life. Listen to this. I took a step back and reflected. Repeat. I took a step back and reflected. Or try this one. It made me reconsider a few things. Repeat again. It made me reconsider a few things. These expressions are common in advanced discussions and interviews. Now imagine you're describing patience with others. Instead of saying, I waited for them, listen carefully. I tried to be understanding. Repeat. I tried to be understanding. Or try this one. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Repeat again. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. These phrases show emotional intelligence, a key marker of advanced fluency. Let's continue with expressing calm acceptance. Instead of saying, I accepted it, listen to this. I came to terms with it. Repeat. I came to terms with it. Or try this one. I learned to accept it. Repeat again. I learned to accept it. These sentences sound natural, reflective, and emotionally mature. Now let's work on describing effort without pressure. Instead of saying, I worked hard, listen to this. I put in consistent effort. Repeat. I put in consistent effort. Or try this one. I stayed committed to the process. Repeat again. I stayed committed to the process. These expressions are calm and confident, which is typical of advanced English. Let's practice expressing appreciation for experiences. Instead of saying, it was good for me, listen carefully. It was a valuable experience. Repeat, it was a valuable experience. Or try this one. I'm grateful for what it taught me. Repeat again. I'm grateful for what it taught me. These phrases help you sound thoughtful and reflective. Now imagine you're talking about moving forward. Instead of saying, I'll continue, listen to this. I'm ready to move forward. Repeat, I'm ready to move forward. Or try this one. I'm prepared for what comes next. Repeat again. I'm prepared for what comes next. These expressions sound confident and composed. As you listen to these sentences, notice how your English feels steadier, calmer, and more intentional. This is the space between intermediate and advanced, where language stops feeling forced and starts feeling natural. Keep allowing these sentence patterns to settle into your thinking, because they are shaping how you express yourself in real life, one thoughtful sentence at a time. As we continue toward the end of this lesson, I want you to notice how different your English feels now. Compared to the beginning, you are no longer just forming sentences, you are shaping meaning. This is one of the clearest signs that you are moving beyond intermediate English and into advanced territory. Let's keep strengthening that feeling by practicing how advanced speakers talk about responsibility and control. Instead of saying, "I had to do it," listen carefully. "I took it upon myself to handle it." Repeat that naturally. "I took it upon myself to handle it." Or try this one. "I made sure it was taken care of." Repeat again. "I made sure it was taken care of." These phrases sound confident, calm, and reliable. Now let's practice expressing flexibility. At an intermediate level, you might say, "It's okay." Let's elevate that. "I'm flexible about it." Repeat, "I'm flexible about it." Or listen to this one. "I'm open to adjusting, if needed." Repeat again. "I'm open to adjusting, if needed." These expressions are extremely useful in work, relationships, and daily conversations because they show cooperation and maturity. Let's move into talking about expectations in a realistic way. Instead of saying, "I hope it works," listen to this. "I'm cautiously optimistic." Repeat slowly. "I'm cautiously optimistic." Or try this one. "I'll see how it goes." Repeat again. "I'll see how it goes." These sentences are very common among fluent speakers because they show balance instead of pressure. Now imagine you're describing a moment of realization. At B1 level, you might say, "I understood. Let's upgrade that." "It finally clicked." Repeat. "It finally clicked." Or try this one. "That's when I realized what mattered most." Repeat again. "That's when I realized what mattered most." These expressions add depth and emotion to your storytelling. Let's practice talking about calm confidence. Instead of saying, "I'm sure," listen to this. "I feel confident about it." Repeat, "I feel confident about it." Or listen to this one. "I trust my judgment." Repeat again. "I trust my judgment." These phrases help you sound grounded and self-assured without sounding arrogant. Now let's focus on describing effort without stress. Instead of saying, "I tried hard," listen to this. "I gave it my best." Repeat, "I gave it my best." Or try this one. "I stayed focused and committed." Repeat again. "I stayed focused and committed." These expressions are calm, positive, and widely used in advanced English. As we near the end of this lesson, I want to shift your attention from language to mindset. Advanced English speakers don't rush. They allow their words to form naturally. Let's practice sentences that reflect that calm pace. Listen carefully. "I'm taking my time and doing things properly." Repeat, "I'm taking my time and doing things properly." Or try this one. "There's no need to rush." Repeat again. "There's no need to rush." These sentences reflect confidence and control, both in language and in life. Now imagine you're talking about progress, honestly. Instead of saying, I'm not perfect, listen to this, I'm still learning, and that's okay. Repeat, I'm still learning, and that's okay. Or try this one, I'm making steady progress. Repeat again, I'm making steady progress. These sentences help you speak about yourself with kindness and realism, which is very advanced communication. Let's practice one final short listening sequence together. Listen and repeat naturally. I feel more comfortable expressing myself in English. Again, I feel more comfortable expressing myself in English. Now listen. I can communicate my thoughts more clearly. Repeat. I can communicate my thoughts more clearly. And one more. I'm proud of the progress I've made. Repeat again. I'm proud of the progress I've made. These sentences are not just practice, they are reflections of your real progress. Before we close, I want to speak to you directly, not as a teacher, but as someone who understands the journey you're on. Learning English to an advanced level takes patience, consistency, and self-trust. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to keep showing up, listening, practicing, and allowing yourself to grow. Every sentence you repeat, every idea you express, brings you closer to the confident, fluent speaker you're becoming. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'm truly proud of the effort you're putting into your English, and I hope you continue practicing calmly and consistently in your daily life. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future lessons. Keep going, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.